Little. I had a whole intro and all that of how I was gonna start the live, but I just figured I'm gonna do it the way that I always been doing it. Make it do what it do. Like I don't have no gimmicks. I just have raw experience. I have life that I live. I have circumstances and scenarios that I overcame. I have situations that I've survived through, situations that I've thrived through. And because of those situations, it's the reason why I'm here today. And the reason why I can say that I'm proud to come from a Niji, West Indian, quote unquote, black woman. Because the way that I came into this world was a special way. Being cut from the womb, not being born from a woman, but being created. Like it felt like God's hands went into my mother's womb and pulled me out. And as I was being pulled, I was being formed and cultivated to be able to handle feeling bullied, going through getting picked on, going through not having, going through seeing others have, especially having the stuff that I would want, which is why my father always taught me don't want what others have, want what you want. And it helped me to teach others want what you have and go after it and do it because it's what you want to do, not because it's something that somebody else says or somebody else gave you the idea or somebody else told you to do it. No, do it because you wanted to do it and because you thought about it, you have the idea and you have the dream. Especially when you can see that dream in the daytime, you become a daydreamer. You become someone that can see your darkest times in the light. You become someone that can see your most vulnerable situations, your most vulnerable times in the daylight. And you become a daydreamer. Welcome in. It's a message for the daydreamers and the people that felt bullied or still feel bullied. I'm here to tell you that you don't get bullied unless you're special. You don't get picked on, so to speak, unless you're special. So when you're special and you're chosen, everybody else is going to choose you as well. When the light turns on, when your light turns on, other people are going to see that light. Regardless or not, if you see that light, other people are going to see your light too. When the Most High chooses you, when the universe chooses you, when your ancestors choose you, the world also knows. The light and the dark also knows that one is chosen. So you're going to get attention from people that you don't know, attention from people that you don't intend to get attention from. That attention might be negative, that attention might be positive, but that attention is still going to be attention. It's still going to be paid to you. They're going to pay you. And that's going to be the biggest, the best, the most genuine, rawest form of energy exchange is when somebody pays attention to you. So I'm going to get into it. When I think about it now, I was never bullied. Welcome in. Welcome in, Icewood 999. Make sure y'all hit the like button when y'all come in. If y'all like the content, if y'all like what I'm saying, or just to help me, help others. The more likes I get, the more views I get. The more views I get, the more people I help. So it's like you helping me while I'm trying to help others. And it costs you nothing. Appreciate you. Thank you. So whenever when I think back about the past and things that happened, like that fight that I got into and that boy talking about my mother or whatever, you know, I guess certain things happen and you become the the stopping power, the stopping force. You become where the buck stops. When people try to bully you and you feel bullied, it's because not only are you picked, but you're chosen. So you're going to have a special occurrence happening in your life. You're going to have special things happening in your lifetime, right? This is going to happen everywhere. It's going to happen in the workplace. It's going to happen in your family. It's going to happen in your household. It's going to happen on the street. It's going to happen everywhere. It's going to happen in school. It's going to happen when you decide to go back to school. Like a lot of people now are going back to college or going back to online classes and everything like that. So when things like that happen and you make that decision, it's like choosing light. And when you make that decision to choose the spirit world, the most high, the universe, the world also knows what choice you made, regardless or not if you see your light, regardless or not how bright you see your light shine, or how bright you think your light is shining, or even if you think you have a light, right? Most of the times, a lot of special people don't feel like they're special, so they don't go out into the world with that perception that I'm special. They don't go out into the world with that perception that I'm this or I'm that, because it gives you that bravado. It gives you that ability to act better than other people. It gives you that, there's a certain word for it, but it makes you feel like you're old. Instead of feeling like whatever gifts you have or whatever special you feel like you are, is something that you owe the world, because you're special, your specialty, whatever it is that makes you special, the world actually needs it, and you're doing a disservice to your ancestors. You're doing a disservice to your mother. You're doing a disservice to your father when you keep it to yourself and you don't give it to the world and you don't spread it or share it with anybody else. When you keep that to yourself, it's just like keeping negative energy to yourself. It all causes you strife and stress and resentment in the end. Not even in the end, but during that process, while you're on that journey, keeping all that energy held within, instead of making it kinetic energy, as in putting force behind that thought, putting thought behind that dream, putting energy behind that feeling, and making it kinetic energy and giving it somewhere to go, somewhere to flow, and somewhere to grow. Keep that inside of you, is gonna kill you inside. It's gonna cause you to resent yourself. It's gonna cause you to resent even the thought that you know is yours, but along that line, you forgot that it was your thought. And you begin to believe that it's not yours. And you begin to believe all the things that the world says. So when you dim your light, it makes the world see, it makes the world have a perception as if you never had a light to begin with. So when I think back on it, I was never bullied. I was picked on because I'm special. I bring joy with my heart, and I hate rules, down to the point where, up to a certain point, right? Follow the rules, follow the laws. But when it gets to the point of control, then it gets to the point where I get a little pushback. What up, Sandra? Welcome in. Hit that like button. It costs y'all nothing. Talking about daydreaming and being special and being bullied, but it's really being picked and being chosen. So you're going to feel bullied when the negative people also pick you as well. Because when you're chosen, the world chooses you as well, whether it be for good or for bad. You might be connected to a source that can bring wealth, health, or change to somebody's situation without knowing it, and you'll be that light being used for wrong. You'll be that power, that creation that's being used for bad. You'll be that secret weapon that the creator wanted to keep hidden, because if it gets into the wrong hands, it'll be used for wrong. And then once you dim your light, you become susceptible to joining certain forces that do you no good and only intend to do you harm. That's why I now understand why so much people wanted to make me feel like I'm not special, make me feel like I'm not worthy, make me feel like I'm a bad person, but I'm not. I'm a good person. I follow the teachings of my great grandmother, my father, my aunties, all my mothers, all my fathers before me. And I follow the teachings of the Bible as well. Because even if it was used as a political tool, I'm not a political fool, right? My intellect goes very far, even if I don't act like it. I like to play coy so that I could learn what others learn, so that I could learn what others know, instead of being like the person that knows everything, because anyone that knows. When you know, or when you think you know, is when you know that you don't know. When you think you know something is when you know nothing, because there's still more to learn. And knowledge is infinite, so can't nobody know everything. And when people act like they know everything, it's because you've dimmed your light so much so that another person can tell you and convince you of who you are, what you are, and what you're capable of. And you'll feel like you're only capable of that through the extension of that person, through the extension of whatever feeling that caused you to feel like that in the first place. But then when that happens, something starts to jot in your memory that makes you remember who you are. Your ancestors, they start shaking up every single thing around you so that you can remember why you're here. You can remember that your light is dimmed and you're not here to dim your light. You're here to shine as bright as you possibly can. And then when you realize how bright you can shine, you go back within and you come out and you shine brighter again. And it happens like cycles. So let me go on to my next point. Bringing joy with my heart, not necessarily breaking rules, but finding ways around them to enjoy life and enjoy the, the pleasures that life have to offer. Like when you go into someone's yard and you pick a fruit and it says no trespassing, but that's your favorite fruit, or that's something that you enjoy, or something that you really want, but in your heart and in your mind, you're like, it's not harming anyone. It's not hurting the person that has the tree or has the fruit or has the garden or the farm. So I'm just going to grab one fruit and then go. Not only am I going to grab the fruit, but I'm going to say thank you to the tree and to the person that planted it so that it could be, you know, stolen from by me. And who knows, I might take that seed and plant it so that somebody can come across this tree and then take a fruit without asking me. People don't get bullied unless you're picked on. People don't get bullied. You get picked on because you're special. Duh. If you weren't special, there would be no reason to pick on you. If you weren't special, there would be no reason to bully you, or for you to feel bullied, or for you to feel like life is so horrible, or for you to feel like, things are going terribly wrong when you prayed for this or you asked for this. It's just like transitioning. All transitions are is remodeling. So when everything is being remodeled, certain things that's comfortable has to be removed so that other things can come in and increase that comfortability but also increase the detachment and the ability to detach from things that's not infinite. We get we get caught up in being bullied, but we forget that we're here for a reason and we're here for a purpose. And this world has also a purpose to make you forget and to make you feel also like there is no purpose in you being here, which is what ultimately happens when you feel bullied. You feel like there's no purpose in being here. You feel like there's no point in living. It makes you feel like you should give up. And when you start feeling like that, which is exactly where you need to be at that point. But I'm here to tell you when you start feeling like that is exactly where you need to be. Because after that feeling and you conquer that feeling, you're going to feel a lot more powerful. You're going to feel a lot more special because things are going to start transpiring in your life like dominoes set up and they're falling one after the other right into place. A lot of people check out before that happens. And I really wish that you wouldn't because the longer you suffer is the more you'll be able to enjoy success. But suffering and enduring is only successful when you remain in the knowing that you're here for a purpose and you're here for a real reason. And when you know that you're here for a real reason and you remember your purpose, you remember your dreams and why, you remember your why, it's going to help. It's going to help with that suffering. It's going to help with that enduring. It's not going to make you feel like there's no purpose for you being here or there's no reason for you being here. It's going to make you feel like you're being built for your purpose and your reason for being here. And then it's going to start feeling like going to the gym. It's going to start feeling like I took yesterday on and I know what yesterday had to I know what yesterday had in store for me. So I know what today has in store for me. And since I was strong enough to take on yesterday, bring it on. And once you have that confidence and you keep in your heart and you know that you're ready to take on today, that's when you get reinforcements. That's when your soul starts being energized. You start feeling like you're getting energy shared with you from the actual universe herself and everywhere and all souls that have light and the potential of light within them. You start feeling like they're sharing their energy with you. And now you were just feeling picked on and bullied, and now you're feeling picked. Now you're feeling like you're getting tested and prepared for your purpose. You're getting tested and prepared for what you're really here for. So if you're not gone and you fought that thought of not being here, and you've gotten to the point of having a purpose for being here, and you realize through all that strife and that hardship, you've just been cultivating yourself. You've been training yourself mentally and physically. You've been channeling all that energy, alchemizing all that energy with that knowing. As you channel and alchemize that energy, you have that knowing. And then you come to a realization that that was the point of being picked on. Are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? Who are you going to choose to be? How are you going to choose to be? What are you going to be evolving into? What's your tomorrow going to look like? Are you going to survive? And even if you don't remove yourself and you do survive, what form are you getting out of bed as? What version of you are you going into tomorrow with? Are you going into tomorrow with a cowardice mindset where you're going to dilute yourself and poison yourself and succumb yourself to the ways of the world and the ways of man? Or are you going to remember all the things that happened to Jesus Christ? All of the times he had to be beaten and still suffering and still survive up until the very end. In that short moment, watching the Passion of the Christ, it can help you understand being bullied, being picked on, being picked because you're chosen. Because what happened in that moment, we know he had the power. We know he had the ability. We know he had the weapon and the know-how on how to use that weapon, but he chose to keep his weapon sheathed. He showed not weakness, to mankind. And because he showed his meekness to mankind, they took it as weakness. But mankind isn't the judge. Mankind isn't the jury. Mankind isn't even the commissioner. So when the judge, jury, and commissioner made the choice and decision, Christ was allowed to live forever. And being allowed to live forever, coming back amongst man to show true testimony, to be an example that only conquering fear can help you get to, an example on how to be the Bible, the universe, the sun, and the flesh. So everyone picks you, for good or for bad. They don't hate you, but when you change, hide, or dim your light, they see it as you never was. So you begin to believe and live life as such. And I'm here to tell you, don't live life like that. Buenas noches. Thank you for checking in. Thank you, Reed. So don't live your life like that. Against all odds. I'm not saying choose to turn the other cheek, but turn the other cheek in the face of ignorance. But in the face of tyranny, tear down the building, tear down the structures that hold up that building. Encourage the hearts to break free from that structure, that program. But people without the knowledge, they don't deserve to be torn down. They deserve to be taught. So don't argue with someone when you know, especially when you know. Don't argue. Instead, listen. And in listening, you'll be able to understand where that person's knowledge begins and where that knowledge has plateaued and where you could potentially find a different way to teach that person on how to break through. or get to a point where they can break through, or get to a point where they can come back to the conversation with you and know where they can break through and remember something that you said, or listen to a song and remember a conversation that they've had. They might even get to a point where they forgot that they even had the conversation with you, and they might even forget you because you may no longer be around or in their life. And then they'll realize that thing, that conversation that they had, because you didn't choose to judge them and cut them down, because you chose to turn the other cheek and use your ear to listen and to learn. And then you were able to formulate a way that you can teach them what you know, because you're listening to what they believe and where they are and where they have plateaued and where you could potentially help them break through, because you were once there. You were once where you needed help to break through. And when that help came, you accepted it humbly. And once you broke through, it helped you understand where you were stuck. It helped you understand how to listen. That's why I was taught, speak when spoken to. I incorporate that with everything. I don't try to change people. I don't try to convince people of change. I let people be them. I let people be whoever they are and let them decide, because everybody has that choice. And any time that I begin to encroach on their choice or their ability to choose, that's when it becomes my problem. That's when it becomes your problem. When you try to convince people of what to believe or of what you know, you don't convince anybody of anything. You don't convince anybody that when you turn that switch, the light is going to turn on. You just turn the switch and let the light shine. And once you let that light shine, they will come with notes. They will come with pens and notepads trying to take notes. They will come to you because you would have chosen not to convince or not to try to change anybody's perception of their reality or convince them of your perception of reality or what you think their perception of reality should be. Just shine like the sun and let the clouds part, and let those that want to be in the sun find that spot so they can sun gaze. The sun don't come out and look for us. The sun comes out, we notice that it's sunny outside and we run outside to see the sun because the sun is shining. So when you shine, you don't have to go look for anyone. You just shine your light and they will come. There's a saying, if you build it, they will come. But if you shine, you will be the sun. I added that last part. Feeling like ending it right there. But I feel like the best way that I could end it is by saying, make sure that your word is your bond, because you only have your word and whatever morals or whatever you stand for. And if you lose those things, if you give those up, you give up yourself, you give up your soul, you give up your heart, you give up you. My word is worth more than what is said on paper. If they heard from me, they would not care what the papers say, even if it was on paper written by myself. As long as they hear my voice and they confirm that it's me, my word is my bond. So make sure your word is a lot more heavier than what is on that paper. Make sure what you say, and I'm speaking about intent and intention. Make sure what you say it with such intention, even if you don't have the conviction or the audacity or the umph in your voice. Make sure your intent matters. It matters more than anything. Intentions matter more than anything. So when you speak, make sure your intent is true, and that word from you will be worth more than the paper that is written on. I appreciate y'all. This have been, or this has been, a very good podcast. Very good podcast episode. I'm proud of this one. I didn't get too excited. I didn't get too off off track. None of that. It was dynamite. But I'm gonna end it right here. When y'all watch the playback, hype it up. Hype me up. Hype me up. Hype me up. So I can help others. 404. Right as I said that. Perfect timing to end it. I help you. You help me. And together we help the hive. We help everybody. All right, y'all.